Hey, good morning, John. How are you? Nice to have you join us.
I'm doing really well. I'm glad to be here.
So I'm Perry Kinkaide. I'm the moderator of this particularly fascinating session. We've had some good conversation up to this point already. I'd like you to tell the audience a little bit about yourself, John.
Well, my name is John Vidmar. I'm a senior scientist at Alberta Innovates Technology Futures. I work in the area of genomics and biotechnology. And analytics plays a role in the work that I do, in that we deal with really large data sets of DNA information, and we try to take that information and use it in a way to improve the plants. That's part of the work that I do.
Are you any good?
I think so.
And why? What's your analytics on your own successes?
Well, I've worked with a number of companies over the years, helped them develop technologies. I have a couple of patent applications at the moment, looking at increased stress, improving the plant's ability to
tolerate stress.
To tolerate stress.
Fascinating. So you're in the world of agriculture ultimately.
Yes.
And there's a translation of knowledge or discovery in order to get it to market. Are you interested in one side or the other, or in that transition?
I'm very interested in transition. I think that we have a lot of good scientists doing basic research, and we have a number of companies and a number of organizations that are good in taking producing products, but that area in between is limited.
So is it communications issues, or is it the complexities?
I think it's communication. I think it's the ability to explain why that basic research has an applied twist to it that a company can use.
So science is one thing. That's usually the white lab coat, the guy tucked away in some isolated setting, wanting to discover and then not worrying very much about where it goes next. You don't look like the typical scientist. I mean, the leather jacket, the jeans, the whole manner, easy communicator, real humanist.
Well, I am who I am. I think that you can stay in the lab and discover many things, but at some point, as a scientist, being paid by the government to a certain extent, we need to take
the public,
right. But we still need to take what we do and bring it to the public and let them understand what we're doing. And that's where misunderstandings occur, because you see somebody in a lab, they're spending millions of dollars on research, but what does that research have to do with the public?
So this seems to be a brand new issue. I mean, we've spent as a country, and certainly as a province, a lot of money building this whole research infrastructure. There are some people that say that the governments of today are anti-science. What's your interpretation? Because there's obviously some budgetary rebalancing going on.
Well, since 2008, the whole world is been shrinking on the amount of money that they do spend on R&D in general. So the question is, do we throw a lot of money everywhere, or do we actually look for discoveries in areas that have critical importance to humans, to our country? So I think what's going on is more a redistribution of that money into areas that are of critical importance. And in Alberta, we are looking at monitoring. We're looking at improved environmental efficacy of extraction of oil sands. Nothing's perfect and nothing will change overnight, but at least you're moving step by step in the right direction.
So it sounds to me like a whole new partnership, that at one time society, through the taxpayer, via government that made the allocations, said science for its own sake was good. We need to build that capacity. We've now got that capacity. We're in an increasingly competitive world, and now we're being asked about relevance. There's obviously some people that are not liking the change.
Well, I still think that, as a scientist, basic research is a need that we have to do. The question is, in a number of programs that the government is offering, they're basically saying, look, you've done this great basic research. Think about how you can apply it.
Right.
It's just it's an extension of the research.
But it is clearly offensive to some that are advocating for the old way and are reluctant to accept the fact that it's a reasonable question for the public to throw at the government. Please hold them accountable for relevance.
And that's what the government is doing right now.
Okay. And you don't seem offended by that.
No, I don't. I think that if you are a scientist, you'll have X amount of money to do basic research and X amount to do applied research. You can get company contracts. It really depends on what you want to do.
And this is what AITF is all about.
Yes, we are more on the applied side, taking the basic research and trying to alter it, use it, try to find uptake industries for it, take it from a proof of concept, maybe expanding it a bit more for that specific uptake.
So this attention that this whole area seems to be getting is, whether it be the newspapers or TV, I'm increasingly hearing a dialogue in Canada about relevance, about Canada on a world stage, being a global player. I don't think we need to be a leader on every front, but clearly recognizing that commercialization of technology may give you a strategic advantage. I mean, are we going to invent a wheel here someplace?
I think we've already had specific examples of this. Okay, BlackBerry, for example.
Yeah.
Developed a very good product, put a lot of money into R&D, and yes, they've had their bumps.
Yeah.
Will they recruit? Well, I'm not sure. I hope so.
Do you carry a BlackBerry?
No, I don't.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't want any more bumps.
Okay. Okay. Nortel.
Yeah.
Again, a company that I think they sold their patent portfolio for $8 million just recently. Mm-hmm. That was basically initially from R&D from government universities, and expanded onto a company.
Okay,
So
I'm going to shift the agenda.
Okay.
To you. You from Alberta in birth?
No, I'm actually from Montreal.
From Montreal, okay. And is your family originally from Montreal?
Nope, they actually immigrated to Canada, I think, in *63.
And where did they come in from?
Both my parents were born in Egypt.
Okay. So origins Middle East?
No, actually, both my grandparents actually moved to Egypt for work.
Christ, we're into genealogy,
Yes.
How do you keep track of it all?
Well, I have an aunt that does that for us.
Okay, you really do.
Yeah. So Slovenian and Maltese on my father's side, and Austrian and Greek on my father's side.
I think I know why you got into genetics.
Yes, I think that's
the whole genome there of understanding how the experiences that have occurred in cultures beforehand have all begun to meld into who you are.
I think so. I think that in life, the experiences that you encounter, places that you've been, people that you meet, allow you to grow as a person.
Mm-hmm. And your wife?
My wife is actually from Martinique. It's a French Caribbean island.
I envy. And I hope you go on holidays regularly.
We go there once a year.
Okay.
Well,
you suffer.
Yes. I actually had to take up scuba diving because of that.
Oh, you poor fellow. You scientists are all the same. I envy.
Well, you know what? It's funny when I go scuba diving. You go scuba diving with a bunch of other people. You have your buddy, and they're all interested in the fishes and the sharks and more. I'm actually looking at sea amoebas.
Okay.
Or little plants, because in their world they have a number of different pressures that we don't see on terrestrial land.
God, I'm glad you explained that, because I was going to refer you to a psychiatrist, but now I understand. It's that curiosity and that understanding.
It's the pattern of life. Okay, so if you look at a barley plant, or you have a stem, you have leaves, and the wind, the rain, the soil will have a dramatic effect on how it looks. Now you go underwater. Well, the plant doesn't have to deal with the issues of water. But it has to deal with currents, it has to deal with predation in a different way. So you see a lot of enriching differences.
So you're looking at information in context. And
Yes.
the context changes, the relevance of that information changes. So the genetics, which is an expression of something, may well bring about something different when it's in one set of circumstances and another.
Exactly.
So that expression is what's got your attention.
Yes.
I mean, I find the realm of stem cells absolutely fascinating, to realize that the stem cells, which was our creation, our origin, are still within our body today with the capability to re-express, if necessary, when are they going to get to hair? I mean, you got that solved.
I'm starting to lose it. I'm starting to lose it. I feel a little bit of thinning occurring.
But that's fascinating to see the relevance. Now, we were talking earlier about life and doing meaningful things in the course of one's life, and how scientists, and I guess that was my origins as well, is you want to discover something that will be transformative, that will really make a difference, whether it be in the world of children with disabilities or in the world of energy and alternatives to carbon. Are there particular areas that actually fascinate you? Is it where you work today?
Well, I love plant science. I think that at the end of the day, as a plant scientist, you want to feed the world.
Okay.
But on the other hand, I do have an autistic child, and actually, you were mentioning that you were working on brain function and things like that, and that's actually an area of interest for me. But that's a personal interest.
Well, it extends the reach of your life and your life's experience.
Yes.
And when we talk about life having bumps in it, maybe that's what makes life interesting. Maybe that's what life makes worth life living. It's not all the ups. It's the ups and the downs in combination, and that combination.
Well, if you always have ups, how do you know they're ups?
That's right. So that the differentiation or the differences in life add an element of meaning.
Of course.
So one of the panels here at the Analytics Conference is addressing independent living.
Okay.
And the relevance of analytics for people who, as they age, want to remain relevant, want to remain engaged, and the value that data has in terms of supporting them personally or supporting the support system around them. They're dealing also with one of the founders in that session has a child who is autistic.
Okay.
And I don't wish to say is autistic, has autism. And the challenges that he faces in order to enable his son to evolve and to become an independent individual.
Well, it's interesting that you mention that, because one of the major changes that happened with my daughter, she's 15, she's nonverbal, so she has a hard time communicating. She tries to communicate the best she can, but we gave her an iPad a couple of years ago with a program that actually helps communication.
Sure.
And it was like her eyes opening up to a new world. She could, instead of having that frustration of not being able to express herself, she had the ability of communicating. Very rudimentary, but still that ability. Oh, I'm hungry. Oh, I'm tired.
Right. So I can enter into her world instead of I being frustration. I can express.
But also at the same time, she loves movies, specific set of movies, Disney movies.
Right.
And so you can load them up. And now, honestly, she'll take the iPad. If she wants a movie, she'll go pick the video screen, watch it, and then pick her movie. All without us helping her.
Netflix is probably all over it. I mean,
well, Netflix doesn't have the greatest selection in Canada.
Okay, that's coming. But back to analytics again. When we were discussing earlier meaningful moments in history, you were relating to some of the things that have happened in the world of genetics, where in fact transformative moments have happened in history. Tell me about that.
Well, I think if we go all the way back. Okay, when we actually were hunter and gatherers.
Oh, before I was born.
Well, I don't know about that, Barry. The ability of a man, a person looking, farming probably, but not farming that well, and looking at a wheat plant that actually held its seeds.
I mean, wheat plants didn't hold seeds?
No,
wheat, on the ground.
Well, wheat is a grass. You've seen grass seeds just fly all over the place.
Right.
So the ability of that plant, a specific natural mutation that occurred that allowed for the actual seed to be held in the head,
and not
actually
just
was
to fly. Interesting.
Somebody saw it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure this event has happened a number of times over the last 20,000 years.
Somebody
spotted it. And, spotted the plant. He probably didn't know it was a mutation. He's going, oh, look, this makes it a lot easier to harvest.
Yeah.
And that actually was probably one of the changes in our society, where we transferred from being a hunter-gatherer society to a real farming, sedentary.
Where in the world did this take place?
It happened probably in the Fertile Crescent.
So Middle East.
Middle East, yes, Iraq.
Yeah.
That area.
And certainly that technology has found its way across the world. I mean, here in Western Canada. We're not just oil and gas.
Yeah, yeah.
We've got a fair
barley,
wheat,
wheat, canola,
wheat, meat, fiber, timber, oil, and gas. I mean,
True.
that's our industry.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, incredible. Do you see any advances in the world of genetics addressing issues that could be revolutionary or transformative?
I think sometimes with plant breeding and plant development, the use of genomics has increased the speed of actually producing new varieties for our environmental conditions in North America. But it's still a step-by-step process. I haven't seen anything that is, that will, wow.
Yeah.
But I think the major transition has been the use of genomics in actually looking for specific traits from wild relatives or induced mutations that allows for the plant to react better to its environment.
New technologies often come at a price, and the price is often controversial. The world of genetic engineering has certainly been controversial of whether or not we should trust this new technology. And I find, as the president of the Alberta Council of Technologies, I think I get involved in more dialogue about ethics and trust than I do about the science of technology. Tell me a little of your views.
Well, I think. I'm pro GMO.
Okay.
GMO
meaning
genetically modified organisms.
Okay.
But I think that we have to take it for what it is. Not all GMOs are good,
and not all technologies are good.
True. So the question is, as a society, we have to evaluate the pros and cons and say, yes, it has more pros than cons, and it has value.
But do we understand that value can be today, but not for tomorrow? The unintended consequences. Do we, when we wrestle with the ethics of technology, have a long view?
Well,
I
hope we do. But don't forget, with yes, it is profit. But if a company produces something that has a problem with it and they knew about it, they're liable.
But maybe it's too late. Maybe I don't want to dig a deep hole here, because I want to open up this discussion, because I think it's a real one, and I don't think it's readily resolved. I think we need to just understand the ethics and even the governance of technology. I'm not sure that we have the governing mechanisms to handle the rate at which technological change is coming into society, whether it be in genomics or any other area. So I'm not saying yes or no to the market forces appreciating the long-term ramifications. The whole idea of the lean startup is, start here, and over time we'll evolve into something more significant. But some of these technologies, overnight, like the wheat seed hanging onto the shaft,
right,
they could be dramatic, and we may live to regret those technologies. The whole industrial revolution, and whether or not we're really populating the climate with carbon dioxide, there's a byproduct of a new form of technology.
Well, if you look at agriculture and the Green Revolution, what has that allowed for the human race? Well, we're at 5 billion people.
Yeah.
Is that good for the Earth?
There's a very good question.
And that was a technology in which we were able to fix nitrogen, more or less.
Right.
One of the technologies. We look in Alberta, and our population isn't that great. There's still lots of room to grow to a certain limit. But when we start looking up north, what's happening with the oil sands, what's happening with tailings ponds, are there solutions out there?
No.
Can we implement those solutions? Yes, problems will arise, and sometimes we're naive not to think that problems will arise, that we've solved it with this golden bullet. And in reality, I think, and this is not my term, sometimes you need golden buckshot.
Okay.
A whole bunch of small little things that actually
start coming together
and solve one small percentage of a problem.
Well, I think you're right on there, and I think that is one of the underlying questions of this conference, is the relationship between ethics and technology. We look to technology to solve a problem.
Yes.
But toward what end? Is it toward a short end? Is it toward a long end? I'm not sure the governing mechanism or even the depth of understanding of this issue. You're a scientist that clearly thinks out of the box. You think about the associated processes of both bringing the science to the world and what the ramifications might be. That's fundamental, and to me, that's a binding of the liberal arts with the science of technology. And I'd like you to make a sort of almost a concluding observation on, is there an opportunity here? Do we see a growing opportunity of discussing technology and values by getting the liberal arts and science to work together? Is arts and science coming apart? Or do we really have circumstances saying we need to bring them together?
I think we need to bring them together. My son is 8. He goes to the Victoria School of Arts.
Okay.
As a scientist, arts?
Right.
No, but I think that when you look at art and music, visual arts, dance, I think they're culturally enriching. And that combination, I have no idea what he's going to do later on in life, but I want him to have a fundamental grounding in a number of different areas.
Okay, so you've personalized that.
Yes.
But let me bring it back to the institutional structure, that we have this liberal arts entity, which you find within our university or colleges, to discuss the values of a society. And then we have our sciences, which is to look at a new society, and you look at where are the leaders coming from. If they come out of science and they profess technology almost for its own sake, or they come out of the arts and the arts is important for its own sake, and I'm asking the question about, can we bring these forces together in order to ensure that ethics and technology work hand in hand?
I think we don't have a choice.
I'd love to hear that.
I don't think we have a choice. Like I come from a mixed background, as I mentioned before.
Yeah.
Those intermixes, it's called, in the plant sciences, we call it hybrid vigor.
Okay, well, I'm going to cut it off here, but I want to thank you very much. This is exciting and enriching.
Thank you very much, Barry.
Join the conversation next year as more cities become data-driven. Become a community partner. Contact us at info@abctech.ca.